What is up, everybody? Welcome back into the Jets Roundtable. We got a full show for you guys to break down all the things you need to know about the New York Jets. You got me, Jake Gasman, Matt O'Leary, talking all things Jets here on the Jets Roundtable live Thursdays at 3 p.m. EST. Oh boy, we got a lot to get into. Let's bring in the usual suspects. Jake Gasman, the host of the Jake Gasman Show, Matt O'Leary, the host of Just Jets Pod, and more. Jake, how you doing today, my friend?
Fantastic, Richie. All is well in Jetland, and the offseason is underway. How are you guys doing?
I'm good. Matt, how about yourself? I know that the funny thing about the Thursdays slot is Matt is the usual guest on the Jake Gasman Show every Thursday morning, so you guys get a double whammy of each other.
I love
Sick
it.
of each other yet?
No, more Jake Gasman, the better. That's what I say.
That's what I say about O'Leary. In fact, when Matt joins me on Thursdays, I change my last name to O''Yasmin.
Beautiful.
Asman. All right. I should get on that. Malora. Well, I'm excited to talk things with you guys. I look forward to these Thursdays episodes. You know, last week was big. We're like, ooh, Dante Moore. Well, there goes that. So that's the first thing we got to jump right into because that is the biggest news out of Jets land. But before we do, want to give a big shout out to everybody in the chat. Make sure you guys do us a favor by simply hitting the like button on the show. But more importantly, go over to each and individual Jake Gasman's YouTube channel and Matt's YouTube channel and subscribe to them, as we always like to push their channels. So let's get straight into business and talk all things Jets. Dante Moore is officially staying put in Oregon. He announced it in LeBron James style by basically going on SportsCenter and saying, dragging it out, sitting there for like, all right, Dante, tell us, okay? We get it. Staying put in Oregon. Okay. Well, that put a little wrinkle in some things. Some Jets fans are relieved about this. They don't want him. It's a good thing. Some Jets fans are upset. They wanted him as their guy at number 2. The Jets get the second overall pick, but it doesn't even seem like there's a guy that they can get at number 2 at quarterback. Jake, your first reaction when that news broke yesterday, and then where are you at today after you were able to process it for 24 hours?
I feel really good about it, to be honest, guys. I thought yesterday was a great day for the Jets. Dante Moore, to me, was a guy that if he was going to be successful, he would have to go to an environment that would let him sit and truly develop. And I just don't know if that's the Jets right now, given the timeline where they need to be a lot better for this head coach and probably the GM to save his job. I just think the fact that, you know, he has only made 20 career starts in the history of guys drafted in the first round, especially guys drafted that high with so few starts. It's not very good. So if everyone agrees he's going to have to sit, do you really trust Aaron Glenn, desperate for his job, to be able to give this guy the proper development he would need and have a real plan in place to develop him? They said they were going to have a real plan in place for Justin Fields. And Fields, despite not really ever being a good quarterback, he was never this bad until we watched him play for the Jets. So I just think there's a lot of red flags with the Jets coaching staff. So to not feel like they have to reach for a quarterback and they could get a really good player now at 2, I think in the long term, I think it ends up working out really nice for the Jets.
Yeah, Dante Moore is a very interesting prospect because his inexperience in college was a big red flag for me. And obviously that game against Indiana did not do him any favors. Matt, your overall reaction when you saw that? I know that you were watching it with your pup there, and I'm sure he had a good reaction to the news as well. I love that video. So how are you digesting that news with your pup?
Yeah, I had to explain the circumstances of why we were watching SportsCenter like it was 2007 all over again. It was – I was a little disappointed, not because I'm the biggest Dante Moore fan, but I think it would have given the Jets more options in the draft and a potential trade down spot when there's not like this bona fide answer at number 2. You can make the case for probably like 4 or 5 guys, if not more, for the Jets to take with the number 2 pick. But now I just don't see any team looking to make a trade up with the New York Jets at the number 2 pick. So I would expect them to sit and pick. And in their mind, they'll be taking the number 1 non-quarterback in this draft class.
Well, we're going to get deeper into that because who the heck is that? You can argue a bunch. And my first reaction also is this, because I just want to get this out there. Stop right now with the narrative that the 2027 quarterback class is stacked. Why? They're the same nonsense last year. And shame on me for believing those people. Because what did we hear last year entering the 2025 college season? That it's a deep class. And then I was buying into the idea like, okay, well, Justin Fields, obviously I'm not expecting him to be the guy. So the worst case scenario, Fields sucks. The Jets get a top pick. We get a quarterback in 26. And I know he missed out on the first overall pick. Yeah, but we got the second pick, man. If it's a deep class, you should at least be able to be in a spot to get a quarterback to be excited about. And who are the names that they were hyping up in this year's class heading into it? It was Lenore Sellers. It was Drew Aller. It was Garrett Nussmeier. It was Arch Manning. None of those guys. You notice who was not mentioned? Fernando Mendoza's name was not even mentioned. Dante Moore's name wasn't even mentioned. So my point is, I understand the 27 class right now looks loaded, but I'm not even going to buy any stock into that, right? Because I heard the same thing last year.
It's true.
I see something. We're going to get into what you got queued up there for a sec. But Matt, your thoughts of that, because now there's a big debate. Do the Jets not draft a quarterback and go into 27 to get their guy and wait because it's that much loaded? It's that much better, according to the draft people.
I mean, I think there's going to be more options for the New York Jets at that point, but we never know how it's going to turn out a year from now, right? Like there were so many different guys. Garrett Nussmeier was a name too that was mentioned as someone who could be a high draft pick this year. Cade Klubnik too. And they're going to come out and they'll enter the draft, but they're not going to be high-end picks. So, it's going to be really dependent on how these guys play in 2026 for college football and then entering the draft for the New York Jets.
So, Richie, the thing I put down below, if you pull it up, is Todd McShay's first mock draft a year ago after the 2025 draft was done, right? So if you just look at the quarterbacks that McShay had going in the top 10 and how it actually played out, it's why I agree with you. It's easy to say next year is going to be better, but you truly just don't know. Now, do I think next year will ultimately be better? I just think playing the odds, it will. But Nussmeier was supposed to go number 1 in the draft. Sellers, number 4. Klubnik, number 5. Aller, number 7. None of these guys are getting picked in the first round this year. A bunch of them were so bad they had to stay in school, or in the case of Aller, he got hurt and should have came out a year ago, which is why I think Dante Moore, while he saved the Jets from doing something dumb, I think financially he made a tremendous mistake potentially by giving up what the money he'd be getting if he came out and was picked in the top 2, certainly the top 5. So I just think this McShay mock from a year ago, right after the draft, kind of speaks volumes on just how quickly things can change when you project a draft class year over year.
Exactly. And, there's a name on this list that I'm actually intrigued by because, Jake, you just told me backstage that you're going to be at the Senior Bowl this year, which I'm excited to see you there. And Garrett Nussmeier is going to be at the Senior Bowl. Now, I understand he's not going number 2, but could there be a quarterback in this class that is a late riser? Jackson Dart was that guy last year. I mean, I was kind of high on him really early in the process. And then I saw him in the Senior Bowl with my own eyes. And I was like, this guy's going to go in the first round. And then he ended up going the first round. And he's the reason why Harbaugh is a giant. One of the reasons Harbaugh is a giant. But is there a quarterback in this class, guys, that you think could be the late riser, whether it's Trinidad Chambliss, maybe it's a Garrett Nussmeier, or it is a Klubnik, Carson Beck? Like, are there guys that you think all this? Oh, Ty Simpson, of course, cannot forget him, who I think could be second best quarterback in the class. Is there a world where all of a sudden it's April and there is a quarterback the Jets can get at number 2? Or do you think it's more a 16 or trading back up? Matt, I'll start off with you.
Yeah, I was going to use Ty Simpson as the example. I don't know if it gets all the way to number 2, but right now I think the consensus is like early second round, maybe back end of the first round. But I think there's a possibility through all the process that he might work his way up to the middle of first round and be a realistic play for the Jets at 16.
Do you have any draft crushes, Jake, in the draft yet at quarterback? Or you're like, nah, man, this is not where we're going to find our quarterback in this year? Because we're searching for our franchise quarterback. We've been for years, and usually the draft is where you want to find it. Do you see one that you like yet, Jake, or not yet?
I think I liked Simpson more than some. I just wouldn't take him at 2. The earliest I would take anyone would be that Colts pick, but I think I'd much rather prefer the Jets to take their swing in day 2 with either pick 33 or the Cowboys pick, which they own as well, which is pick 44. Now, we're early in this. The pre-draft process changes things. I heard Mel Kiper say that he thinks both Ty Simpson and Trinidad Chambliss will be first-round picks, and this was with Dante Moore at this time in the draft, or the perception of him being the draft. So if Chambliss is available and we see what he runs and we see what his height is, I think I'd be intrigued by him. I look, he dominated Division One for all that long, but he was so impressive in the playoffs. He had a great year at Ole Miss, and he does have a lot of starts. It just all wasn't at the D1 level. So I would say he intrigues me. Nussmeier does intrigue me because of the potential. Son of a coach. I feel like he's got a lot of the qualities maybe you look for. But I feel like I'm kind of grasping at straws with a lot of this analysis here. I think if the Jets are going to hit on a quarterback, it's not going to be till 2027 in the draft and taking a chance on one of these guys this year. I think you do it because you got to keep adding to the room, but I don't think there's our long-term answer in this draft.
So if they don't find their quarterback in the draft, or even they find someone, like, the big question is, who the heck is starting week 1? Right? So that's my next question. What's the realistic quarterback plan for the Jets? Are they going to utilize free agency? Are they going to trade for one? Now, there is one quarterback that I have nightmares over of the Jets bringing in. I don't know if you guys know exactly where I'm going with this. It would be the worst
Zach
possible.
Wilson?
Yeah. Yeah. That's maybe worse, but someone that is a teammate of his, actually, and that is Tua.
No.
It's not happening, right? It's not. I saw Bleacher Report come out with a freaking graphic that made me like gasp of Kyler Murray and Tua in Jets uniforms. So I'm like, oh my gosh, look where we're at now as Jets fans. This is pathetic. But right now, what's the realistic plan for the Jets? Dante Moore is not declaring it, so he's no longer an option. Who is the Jets quarterback going to be? This is the $1 million question. Matt, if you won $1 million by predicting this accurately, who are you going with right now? Who's starting for the Jets week 1?
Man, you pretty much are just closing your eyes and throwing a dart in the direction of a board, right? Because there's like, 25 names that you could give me, and I go, okay, yeah, I could see it. I'm going to say Marcus Mariota is going to be the guy who does it. I think they dip into free agency. I don't think they're going to trade for Kyler. It doesn't really make sense with his contract. If he's released, maybe it's a different story. I don't know. I just have a hard time seeing it be like a bigger name guy than that. Like, I don't see Kyler. I don't see Tua. I don't know if I see Kirk Cousins. So I'll go Marcus Mariota.
Can I go on a little rant right here? This sucks. Like, do you hear that? Because that's the only options we have. Like, Marcus Mariota, yeah, that is a realistic option. So thank you for that, Matt. And it's so pathetic because if I said, what's the unrealistic quarterback plan? Oh, trade for Lamar. Oh, trade for Joe Burrow. Oh, trade up for Fernando Mendoza. That's the fun stuff. But there's literally no option where I'm pounding the table for the Jets got to do this, right? There isn't one. Unless the Jets somehow miraculously, which they've never done in our entire lives, it feels like, pull this thing out of their hat. They find a guy that turns into a stud, which I don't think anyone believes that's going to happen. But man, the options are absolutely terrible, which really makes me worried about this offseason, Jake.
Yeah, the options aren't great. I mean, that's just the unfortunate reality that we're in. I do think a guy like Mariota would make sense. Kirk Cousins, should he become available, which I anticipate him being available. They probably got to try and do something similar to what the Giants did last year. Sign 2 vets so you're covered there, and then make a move in the draft on a quarterback. When I say move, it doesn't necessarily mean take someone at 2 now. That won't happen. But the Colts pick is the earliest pick they can go QB. They really like Simpson or Chambliss. Same thing with that 33rd pick. Maybe they move back into round 1 to get the 5th-year option on someone. I mean, you could trade for Mac Jones. You could trade for Jameis Winston maybe if the Giants would listen. It's tough. I mean, the options aren't great, which is why it stinks that there's no obvious, quarterback you take it to. But again, I think it's a blessing in disguise because I don't trust his coaching staff right now. So let them build the team, see if they can get competent quarterback play in free agency. And let's really learn if Aaron Glenn and the staff is worth keeping around with the 3 ones they have to get their actual long-term answer in 2027.
Yeah, very interesting stuff, man. And it's the reality. You got to face the truth of who the options are at quarterback because there's not many good options right now for the New York Jets. And that's where it's like not a lot of excitement heading during this season. You got a coaching staff and Aaron Glenn that there's not much to see. You're just going into the season trying to figure out who the defensive coordinator is going to be. Are they even going to add an offensive coach to the staff? So there's a lot of question marks regarding the quarterback spot, but that's not all for the New York Jets. Now, I feel like Dante Moore's off the table. So who the heck's going to be the pick at number 2? Let's evaluate the possible options for the New York Jets with the second overall pick, because this is an interesting one. Do they go best player available in terms of defense? Because they're going to have an opportunity to draft the best defensive player in the draft on their board, with Mendoza going number 1. Do they trade down? There's a lot of different possibilities here. Matt, where are you leaning as of today, where things are obviously fluid? Things can change very rapidly here with the New York Jets at pick 2.
Yeah, there's really a lot of different options, and the 3 guys you have on the graphic are all, I think, really good choices in Arvell Reese, Caleb Downs, and Ruben Bain. I would throw Carnell Tate in there too. I know that's probably a little bit early for him, but I still think he's a top 10 pick, and I don't think it's that much of a reach. David Bailey, the edge rusher from Texas Tech, has been picking up some steam too. If I was making the decision today, I would say Arvell Reese, but I think you can make a strong case for honestly any one of those guys that I just rattled off.
Yeah, I think that it's really just a preference of. Now, my question with Ruben Bain, let's dive deep into that. Is there a world where they trade Will McDonald or Jermaine in that scenario? They don't pick up the 5th-year option, because it'll be hard to draft a Bain and keep McDonald and Jermaine long term, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I would. I don't know if those guys are part of the long-term future. Like, that might be hey, if we're not good at the trade deadline again this year, we'd move on from one of those 2 guys. Or if Robert Saleh gets a head coaching job somewhere and is looking for an edge rusher, I would be calling up Robert Saleh and seeing if he wants to give anything for one of those 2 guys. For me with Reese, I know he plays both linebacker and edge, so I think he's more of an edge. So I'd toss him into that conversation too, just with like Ruben Bain. Although some are arguing with Ruben Bain's arm size that he might have to play on the interior defensive line.
Alligator arms, T-Rex arms. Oh,
yeah. I don't know if I'm willing to go that far just yet. I think, you watch the tape, he's obviously a really good player, but that might be something that they consider at the top too.
Jake, where are you at right now on the second overall pick with Dante Moore out of the equation? Where do you think the Jets are going to go really early in the process? Where are you at?
I like Bain just because I love the idea of being able to quote Bain on the show the next year. Like we Jet fans, we were born in the dark, so it'd be great if Ruben Bain gets up there after being drafted and he says to everyone out there, "You all were merely adopted the dark. I was born in it, molded by it." Or he gets up there and is like, "I am Gotham's reckoning," and it'd be fitting because the Jets did have the Gotham City rivalry jerseys. So I just love the idea of having a quotable draft prospect. He's also really good too. We'll watch him Monday night in the national title game. So I like him. I like the idea of potentially going a receiver at 2. People might think I'm nuts, but I just feel like if we went through a 3-14 season and there's some of these receivers being mocked in the top 5 anyway, like I don't need to hear, 2's too early for a wide receiver. Well, maybe not. If you think Carnell Tate is worth it, or you think Jordan Tyson is worth it, like I'm open to that. They got to get an impact player is my big thing, because we just sat through hell. We're not going to come out of it with a top quarterback pick now. Okay, so what's our prize for this number 2 pick? It better be an impact player. So I'm open to everything. Even Caleb Downs is safety, and I've been very anti taking a safety that high, but they can't screw this up. They have to get an impactful player after what we just sat through this year.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask about Caleb Downs as a follow-up, because that was one name I was curious to get your guys' opinion on. Some people think safety at 2 is a little rich, but then let's not forget that the Jets just went through a season with no interceptions. So I can't really blame them if they go after a guy in the secondary that's capable of getting those things. How would you feel about a Caleb Downs? We had a debate, how long ago was it, with the Kyle Hamilton thing, right? And then he turns out to be an absolute stud. And that debate was more about positional value. So I don't think the Jets would go Caleb Downs at 2, but I love the prospect, and it's at a position of need. What's your thoughts, Matt, about Downs at 2?
Yeah, I was one of those people who were saying that I wouldn't take Kyle Hamilton because I think there's so many other needs. And, maybe it's just like another 4 years of this has completely broken me. But like if they took Caleb Downs, so be it, right? Like their defense is horrendous at all levels, all 3 levels of the defense. And as you rightfully pointed out, they had 0 interceptions. If they view Caleb Downs as someone who is generational, and that word gets tossed out way too much, but He's being talked about as an even better safety prospect than what Kyle Hamilton was. Well, if they draft him and he's, Ed Reed or Troy Polamalu for 15 years, then that will, I think, help this team. So probably not my number one choice if you're asking me today, but if they took him, I would completely understand it.
Yeah, and I think like another option that too is trade down, but the big question is who is trading up and what player are they targeting? So I think that's another big question. A lot of people think it's easy just to trade down, but you got to have a team willing to trade down for. Now, going into that 16th pick, and obviously it depends where you get number 2, is there anybody you're targeting at 16 right now with that Colts pick? Because my personal favorite is a Mekhi Lemon from USC. I think that's a perfect spot for a wide receiver. I know, Jake, you said you'd be down for a receiver at 2, which I honestly wouldn't be against either. But I think 16 is your prime real estate for a wide receiver or a playmaker. But the big debate right now, I think, amongst Jets fans is, do they go with the first 4 picks in the first 2 rounds, like 3 of the 4 defense? Or do you split it down the middle, 2 offense, 2 defense? Do you just go best player available? Because his defense was so bad, but you also want to keep building out the offense. What position do you think the Jets should be leaning more towards at that 16th pick range? Matt, I'll start with you.
Yeah, for me at the 16th pick, it really depends, right? And I don't really have like a formula in my head. Like they got to come away with 2 on defense and 2 on offense or whatever. But I could tell you right now 2 names who stand out to me that might be in that range, and that's the wide receiver from USC, Mekhi Lemon, and also Sonny Styles, the linebacker. I think you can make a case, and that to me, like if you take a defensive player at 2, that doesn't then take you out of taking another defensive player at 16. I think you go best available. If both are on the board, I probably would lean Lemon over Sonny Styles, but again, like the Jets linebacker play was awful last year. It needs to be a room that's completely redone. I would expect them to sign a free agent and also look to add in the draft. If they don't do it at 16, probably do it on day 2. So I think it's a big need. I would be looking at those 2 guys with the 16th pick.
Yeah, there's a lot of options, and I think that this class is really deep. One position I do love in this class is linebacker, and I'm curious if the Jets are going to get one of those top guys. Jake, your thoughts of that 16th pick this early on in the process? Have you done any research in terms of where you like the Jets to go at 16 yet?
Would love a weapon there if they go defense with the first pick, which probably feels likely if you're just taking a consensus now on who the top players are. So I'd prefer a weapon. If you can get Mekhi Lemon from USC, I really like him, watching some of the film that Joe Blewett was posting about with him the other day. To me, if you could come away with a stud on offense, a stud on defense, I love it. I'm all for it. I do think you want to go BPA, though. You don't want to just reach for the sake of reaching. But again, there's good players in the draft. Sonny Styles, as Matt brought up, is there at 16. I'd run the card in. I think that'd be awesome.
Yeah, Sonny Styles would be crazy if he can fall to 16, which I don't think is going to happen. But hey, we've seen crazier things. One position, would you be interested in a corner at 16, or do you feel like you don't really want to take a corner in the first round? Because the Jets now have a hole at corner. Do they believe in Brendan Stevens, number 1, long-term? I don't think any of us do. Azarie Thomas looked promising. I love him as a rookie, but his inconsistencies in terms of being healthy was definitely up for grabs. Are the Jets going to go out there and try to find a new corner this offseason? Could that be the pick at 16 or maybe in the second round? Are they going to get a corner early to replace Sauce, or are they comfortable with what they have? Matt, what do you think about that position?
Not that I love the positional group, but I think I'm okay with having AZ Thomas, Brandon Stevens, and Jarvis Brownlee as your starting trio, at least for next year, and giving it a look. And if, Stevens is not playing well, or AZ Thomas shows that, hey, he's probably not ready to be a starter, then with all your picks in the 2027 draft, I think maybe you could take a look and look to add in either free agency in the draft at that point. But corner, you could argue it's a need, but I think there's so many other rooms that need more addressing or fixing first before I get to corner. So you can argue it. You could argue for just about any positional group on this team, but I would have corner a little bit further down the list.
Folks, we're live on the Jets Roundtable. If you guys can do us a favor, please subscribe to the channel. We appreciate that. Hit the like button, man. We got over 150 live and only 25 like buttons smashed. What is that about? Hit the like button. Let's get this to 100 likes if we can. We appreciate everybody tuning in. This is your weekly show here on the Jets Roundtable YouTube channel with Jake, myself, and Matt. And we're just getting started here. I have some other segments I want to get into, but I want to give a big shout out to everybody in the chat. Shout out to Leon, Fibs, Common Country, Jesse, my boy Danger Zone's in the chat as well. Shout out to everybody. J-Boy is in the house. Let us know where you're representing from. What neck of the woods are you in? You guys New Yorkers? Are you from New Jersey, down in Florida, maybe outside of America? There's a lot of different locations I'm noticing that people are tuning in from. So let us know where you're coming in from here on the Jets Roundtable YouTube channel. And of course, don't forget to subscribe. And Eric is in the chat as well. LaSalle is here. We got New York City in the house. Common Country. Let's go. Appreciate you guys. Now, the next topic I want to get into, the free agent targets for the New York Jets. We always do this backwards. We're always like draft mode. Well, free agency's first, folks. Okay, so maybe we should focus on this because I think what happens in free agency has a direct correlation about what happens in the NFL draft for every single team. The Jets got a lot of cap space. They're going to rework a lot of their deals. They're probably going to release some guys. So it's going to go up probably to what it is today. But before we get into the potential targets, where are you at right now in terms of guys are going to retain? I think the big question is a Simpson or an AVT. Is one of those two guys coming back, Jake? And if so, which one of the two? John Simpson, Elijah Vera Tucker, which one of those two will the Jets prioritize or maybe let them both walk?
I think AVT's back on a prove-it deal with incentives for playing time, and they let Simpson walk. That's my initial feel on it. I could be dead wrong. I just think the way the O-line played with Myers already being re-signed, maybe the Jets feel like they have a decent floor for what this unit can be, and to get it to the next level, hey, let's take a chance on AVT actually being healthy. They like him a lot. They voted him team captain, and then let's see what he could possibly do if he's healthy with the rest of the group. So that's kind of my thought process. Simpson didn't have a great year. If he had a great year, I think you bring him back. You don't mess with a good thing, but he committed a ton of penalties. Just didn't think he was as good as he was 2 years ago. So I lean with AVT on a shorter term deal.
Yeah, I agree. The only difference between Simpson and AVT that I see is durability. The one thing I respect from Simpson, and that's a big problem, of course, with AVT is availability. The Jets are going to have to bring in depth behind AVT. Your thoughts of that, Matt? Do you think AVT or Simpson is the right decision to bring in at left guard?
Yeah, I think when healthy, AVT is the better player. Unfortunately, there's been 3 years in his career where he has had season-ending injuries with the New York Jets. So for that reason, I think you're asking for trouble if you're bringing him back and expecting him to be a starter. We've seen it happen before where they're betting on guys to just finally this is it. This is going to be the year they stayed healthy. And I know the injuries aren't related. It's not like he's hurt the same knee 3 times, but it's both triceps. He's had the Achilles injury. It's really tough for him. And I feel for the guy, but for that reason, I would lean with John Simpson. Plays every game. He's a leader in that locker room. He might not have the ceiling that AVT does, but I think you could pencil him in for 17 games.
Other pending free agents are guys like Quincy Williams. I think we can all agree he's a Cowboy. Right? Won't have any oppositions?
He won't be a Jet. I mean, that is 1,000% for sure.
Yeah, will not be a Jet. We can all agree on that one. My prediction is reuniting with Quinnen over there in Dallas. He's gone. Michael Clemens, a Jet fan favorite, gone or re-signed? Matt?
Lifetime contract extension.
Yeah, I think he's back.
Really?
I'm not even kidding. I think they bring him back. I think Aaron Glenn likes him.
Yeah. Do you agree with Aaron Glenn liking him is the question now, Jake.
Do I agree with Aaron Glenn liking Michael Clemens? No, I do not.
Matt, do you think Aaron Glenn has an epiphany for he's a Michael Clemens fan?
He does seem to talk him up. I'm going to say this is in all seriousness, I do think this is the year where they go a different direction. Finally, I hope they have learned from their past mistakes.
I don't know, man. He looks scary. So
it does. We'll probably see a video of him coming in with a spiked bat. And
yeah, dude. I think AG's he's intimidated he doesn't want to cut him. But I think that's an interesting question. Now, an interesting guy that I don't think a lot of people are talking about that's a pending free agent, Kene Nwangwu. Is he a priority? Or are the Jets going to say, you know what, Kene, you're in and out of the lineup. Isaiah Williams is good enough to do the kick return and punt return duties. Are the Jets going to prioritize Kene returns?
I don't think so. I think he's gone.
You think he's gone?
Can't stay healthy. Every time, like if the wind blows a certain mile per hour, he gets hurt.
Ow, my hamstring.
Harsh but true. Jake is on
the special teams unit, low key. There's not a lot of like continuity in terms of contracts. Like, isn't Austin McNamara a restricted free agent, or am I wrong there? Isn't he also?
He was a UDFA. He might. I think he's under for another year.
He is.
They can if he's a restricted, they can match anything that he signs. Then they'll keep him.
And then Nick Folk is potentially retiring. We don't know that situation. And then, Isaiah Williams, he's under contract, right?
Isaiah Williams,
because they waived him
too, right?
McNamara is under for $1 million next year. I'll look up. Who'd you ask for? I already forgot.
Isaiah Williams. I think he's good.
He might be a restricted free agent also.
He's restricted free agents.
No, he's also under for $1 million next year too. So we're
Look at that. Because the only good thing with the Jets last year was special teams, so you got to retain those guys as much as you possibly can, of course. So I think that is going to be an interesting situation. Who the kicker is going to be if Nick Folk does end up retiring? Are they going to find an Austin McNamara? Because that would be nice to find a kicker version of him. Now, when it comes to the big name, Breece Hall, will there be a franchise tag, a transition tag, tag and trade, or a contract, or is he just walking? Matt, where are you at right now on Breece?
I'm hoping for a contract extension. I'd give him essentially the Kyron Williams contract, which I think was 3 years for $11 million, somewhere in that range is what I'd be looking to do. You can't let him leave for nothing. So at minimum, it's got to be a franchise or transition tag, but I'm holding out hope that it could be an extension.
Now, hear me out. This is going to ruffle some feathers. Breece Hall's gone. What if the Jets fall in love with Love?
I'm out. I'm out on that.
I can't. Lost you guys.
I can't take a running back that high. Like, we're not equipped to do that when we have so many other needs with these premium picks.
Yeah, I agree. I wish we were able to be a team to be able to draft a running back that high. But let's not do what the Raiders did last year, because Ashton Genty, phenomenal running back, but they obviously regret that pick. Well, at least they should. Who knows? Now, when it comes to Breece Hall, Jake, though, where's your gut telling you on that?
I don't know if he wants to be here, guys. I think there's something up with him and not being voted team MVP. Like, I thought the fact that he wasn't, to me, was telling. He kind of took himself out of that game against New England, and despite practicing all week, he didn't play in the last game. He was DMing Ben Kirk at the trade deadline of how he wanted out. I don't know. Breece kind of says the right thing when he speaks, and then he goes on social media, and then his body language when he's actually playing and all that is not great. So maybe they let him go, or they use the tag on him. I don't know if they're going to be able to get a real extension done with him. I could see the transition tag where they'd have the right to match anything Breece has offered, or if not, maybe they just use the straight up franchise tag. I would try and keep him, but it wouldn't shock me if they move on altogether. I just want to get out in front of that.
Yeah, so what's the plan at running back if Breece does walk, hypothetically? You finding one in the mid-rounds? Is there a free agent running back that you target? Because I don't know about you guys, I don't feel comfortable with Braylon Allen being a workhorse coming off a knee injury. And Isaiah Davis has shown flashes, but they're going to need a running back to replace Breece, especially with the coaching staff of Aaron Glenn trying to prioritize the ground. So what's the plan if Breece is gone, Matt, at running back?
I think I would target Travis Etienne because I think he can do some similar things in an offense, like how he's a weapon out of the backfield as a pass catcher. You would have to reach for agency, right? Like, obviously there's a chance Jacksonville would want to hang on to him, but of the names, of the running backs hitting free agency, I would say him or Rico Dowdle are the two that I would have the most interest in free agency.
Very interesting stuff. Now let's pivot to some more targets. That's non-Jets. Tyler Linderbaum, he's going to be a giant, isn't he, Jake? We're not getting him. He's going to Harbaugh.
Probably if they pay him. I mean, if I'm the Jets, I'm just money whipping the top guys and saying, screw it. We're going to have a rookie starting for us next year anyway. Let's go all in and get him. That's what I would do for Linderbaum. I'd pay him an enormous amount of money, make him the highest paid center of all time to get him.
We're back to the Jet tax, baby. The only way you're coming is if we overpay. That's what it comes down to. Matt, is Linderbaum someone you would open the bank for and give him that crazy resetting the center market type of deal?
If he actually hits it, yes. I still have my doubts if he's going to hit the open market or not. But yeah, he's still young, right? He's 26 years old, in the prime of his career for an NFL center. Yeah, that is absolutely someone worth paying that kind of money to for me.
Now, an offensive line of Fashanu, AVT, Linderbaum, Tippmann, and Membu, with Myers being a beautiful depth piece. Now that is a top 5 potential offensive line that should win you games regardless of who you have at quarterback. No?
You would hope.
I mean, come on.
How many wins?
5 or 6?
Yeah, they should.
I mean, double what we got, baby. Double the win total because of the offensive line with Linderbaum.
I mean, they had a good O-line, and they still only won 3 games, and it really should have been 1 if they didn't have a historically great special teams year. Like, they beat the Browns by 7, and they scored 2 touchdowns on special teams in that game. Like, think about it. Like, this was a 1 or 2 win team without that unit.
And no Fernando Mendoza because of it. Blame the special teams, guys. Don't blame me. Okay, I had no impact of the Jets winning those games.
The culture wins, baby. They're paying off dividends so far this offseason. The fan base is united right now.
I love it. The fan base has never been as united as it is today, by the way. Now, any guys on defense that you see the Jets could target? John Franklin Myers, former Jet, is hitting the open market potentially. You also have Sheldon Rankins, former Jet, hitting the open market, just to name some former Jets. But anybody on the defensive side of the ball that you've seen, Matt, that you think the Jets are going to be targeting on that side?
I love that you brought up JFM because he's one of my favorite players. And they desperately missed him the past couple of years. I would also throw, what's his name? Cam Curl from the Rams at safety. That would be my target at the safety position. But I love JFM with the names that you listed off, but they have the money to spend, and I would use a majority of it on this defense that needs a lot of work.
Jake, anybody, do you think they should open up the bank for anybody on the defensive market? Like, who's like the best defensive player even available on the free agent market? I gotta see.
The one defensive guy I think is going to be a Jet is Alex Anzalone. I could see the Jets overpaying to get a Glenn guy, and we'll be sold that this will magically fix the defense because he's a Glenn guy. Get ready for that nonsense.
Culture guy.
So, yeah, like him and Glenn are close, apparently. I could see something like that being a defensive signing. I mean, there's some pretty good defensive players. The problem is all these guys get re-signed by their teams. Like Jamie Sherwood forever was listed as one of the top players in free agency a year ago. The day before free agency, he signed an extension to stay with the Jets. So I'm always weary of who's actually available.
Yeah, some names that I'm seeing right now, former Jet legend who could come back, Hassan Reddick is available. If you guys want.
Can we get a third-round pick if we bring him back? Can we get our pick back, Philly?
That's my least favorite Jet of all time, man. I'm telling you. There's not a lot of big-time, like, defensive guys, in terms of where the Jets could go. Like DJ Reader, defensive tackle from Detroit, could be another Glenn guy, right? But I don't really see anybody they're going to open up the bank for. I think this defense needs to be built through the draft.
Demario Davis is a free agent.
Ooh, I love Demario Davis. Absolutely, I hated when we let him
He's
go.
Doing the damn thing too. All
Not
these
once,
years
but twice. But now this one right here is gonna be really hard to predict. But don't be shocked if the Jets are extremely active on the trade market. You saw them very, very active before the season started with Briggs and Phillips. You saw them trade for Brownlee. You saw them trade for a Jasir Taylor. You saw them trade Sauce and Quinnen. Muji likes to make those trades. that's hard to predict, right? Because who the heck could have predicted them finding Harrison Phillips or Juwan Briggs? Do you think there's anybody that the Jets could kick their tires on, Matt? That's like a under the radar guy the Jets can trade for. That's a non-quarterback at any position.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
This is why we got you, Matt. Come on.
Jesse Bates is a cut candidate for the Atlanta Falcons. He would, against their cap, I believe, would be $24 million if memory serves correct. But in a trade would be $14 million to the acquiring team. I think the Jets should be active in looking around the league at, guys who are still good players, but could be cut candidates. And to me, I think that's like one of the guys towards the top of the list for me.
Wow. That's a good option. I like that. How about you, Jake? Anybody you can see the Jets trading for, or is that hard to predict because you don't really know who's available on these other teams yet?
I'd look at potential wide receivers that could be dealt, because it feels like there's a track record now where every offseason 1 or 2 names get traded at that position. Last year, DK Metcalf got dealt. George Pickens got dealt. You had some receivers that were on the block that weren't traded, like the guy whose name is escaping me that went from Vegas to Jacksonville. He finally got traded.
Jacoby Myers.
Yep, Jacoby Myers. I'd be curious to see which receiver could get dealt. A lot of smoke around A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts and that relationship in Philly. Could he be available? I don't know if he'd fit the Jets if he's miserable a year after winning a Super Bowl in Philly. I don't know how he'd handle, Ty Simpson throwing him horrific passes. But, I feel like receiver we should probably keep an eye on, because the Jets do have all these picks and they have a glaring need for a wide receiver too.
You don't think he'd enjoy the 32nd ranked passing offense coming here, A.J. Brown? After
maybe he's infatuated with Charles London, our esteemed running back quarterback coach.
You know who he developed? Geno Smith, baby.
Will Levis as well on the resume.
Well, the Geno one's kind of bullshit because he was only for Geno's. Okay. No, but I've heard people say that before, and it bothers me because he was only there for the last year that he was in Seattle, which, by the way, was the year that Seattle decided to move on from Geno Smith.
And they replaced Geno with another Jet. And we got him facing off against Brock Purdy this weekend. Brock facing off against Robert Saleh, actually. Mr. Sam Darnold.
Bob Saleh, yes.
The man who actually wanted to keep him, according to Connor Hughes of SNY.
How convenient, by the way. Everyone wanted to keep Sam now. How convenient.
Yeah,
I love
everyone
that.
want to keep him, but apparently Douglas, who knows what's true or not. Who knows?
Rex Hogan had to have him. That was the story. And he was the guy. He had ties to the region. He had to have him.
The first super chat of Jets Roundtable history. This is the first show we're eligible for super chats. Danger Zone comes in. Maybe Clemens and Lucille end our Glenn like Negan LOL. Well, interesting super chat there from Danger Zone. We appreciate
he's coming
that.
back. I'm fully prepared for this.
He's coming back, baby, on a $20 million AAV. Don't let go of the rope, damn it. Come on, Jake. Don't let go. You're holding on, right? You're still there? You're on the end?
Look, I would never let go of such a rope. I'm a Glenn guy, all right? He's got this. He's going to turn it around. We're all very excited.
Thank you so much for the $10 super chat. We appreciate you big time. Now, we have one last segment that I think is going to be a fun one for you guys. And I want you to be as bold as possible. What's your bold offseason prediction? We talked about all these other ones. Like, yeah, they're probably going to do this. Yeah, they're probably going to be this. But I want you to give me a prediction that is so bold that people in the chat are going to call you a moron. Okay? Like, what do you mean, Matt? That's not happening. It's impossible. But there's also some layer of like, wait a second, Matt may be cooking here. So I know I'm putting you on the spot. I didn't give you any like preparation. I could have told you ahead of time, like, hey guys, prepare for a bold offseason prediction before the show to give you more time to think about it. So anything coming to your mind, either you guys, of a big trade, a blockbuster trade, perhaps, that we don't see, or a quarterback acquisition that no one sees, or a coaching staff hire? That's a big one.
Are they going to hire anyone? Can my prediction be maybe they're running it back with the staff?
Or how about any news breaks that the Jets are like, we've known one defensive coordinator they're interviewing so far. And we
know Wink Martindale's agent wants everyone to put it out there that he's interested in the job, and the Jets are mutually interested. That's
our bold prediction, folks, that we're going to find out what the heck they're doing internally, because there's nothing to really be excited about right now. But all jokes aside, chat, also feel free to join in on this. Any bold predictions we'll react to right now. Bold prediction right now saying, bold prediction, Jets trade Garrett Wilson and they trade back from 2 to 4. Now, this bold take, I hate. Okay, I don't want any hate. I don't want to say hate.
Why would the Titans, right? They're at 4. Why would they move up from 4 to 2? What player do they need to have in this draft?
And why the Jets? Garrett Wilson was the only guy that was known to be untradeable. But hey, it's a bold prediction, so I can't get mad at you.
There's 53 guys on the roster. I think Jets fans would be okay if they traded about 47 of those guys, and Garrett Wilson's one of like the 6 guys.
Can you name the other 5?
The 2 tackles, Joe Tippmann. How many is that? 4. All right, I might have been generous with 47.
What do you mean? We love Juwan Briggs, dude. He's untradeable.
Oh, okay. Briggs, sure.
What do you mean, dude? Malachi Moore is a beast. We're not trading him.
I like Zach's prediction in the chat. Jets move up to number 1 to get Mendoza.
All right.
Oh, please.
That's a good one. Now, what could Tom Brady's just going to laugh at us? He hates the Jets. He'll never let that happen.
4 first-round picks or 3 and a player, according to JT the Brick, who does radio in Las Vegas. That's what he suggested.
Bold prediction, Woody finally sells the team. Now, that's a bold one.
Based on what, Common Country?
And I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but Woody Johnson is never selling the Jets. Why?
His son's ready to take over.
Exactly. Just like he was inherited Johnson & Johnson. He's a Nepo baby. That's what he does. It's what he's used to. He's
born on third base, thinks he hit a triple.
Yeah. So it's the worst thing. You know, we all wish Gary Vee can be the guy to find some venture capitalists, some big time money to buy it. And Gary Vee's running the show, but that's not the case. So Woody, build a winner, baby. Any other bold predictions you guys got?
Is this bold enough that the Jets will take the Oregon tight end at 16?
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, that's pretty bold.
Sadiq,
thank you. I don't know why I couldn't come up with Sadiq, but that is my reasonable bold prediction.
Is that because they're preparing for Dante Moore next year? I'm just kidding.
Yeah, maybe.
The irony of they finally take a first-round tight end after they passed on Bowers and Warren and Loveland last year.
And how no Jets fan is going to have any debate about that. Like no one's going to even think about it all throughout the process, but then they do it when nobody's seeing it coming. Oh my God, was that 2 straight years of the tight end debate?
Yeah, we're just going to run 13 personnel all the time because, I don't know, our receiver room isn't good outside of Garrett. So
now, say they did that, Matt, would you be like happy?
I don't know. I don't have feelings anymore about this team.
No feelings. Numb Matt O'Leary.
Yeah.
Is that what you go by?
That's what we're going to be for a little bit.
I mean, if you're numb, you can't be sad.
No, I'm not sad anymore.
Yeah. I mean, you got to accept it. Now, I'm trying to think of a bold offseason prediction. I think they're going to, I think the quarterback that they're going to bring in is going to be a bold guy. And I'm unfortunately.
Phillip Rivers?
That's bold. Now, this isn't bold because he's been linked to the Jets, but I got a feeling that we got to start getting prepared for Mr. Call of Duty himself, Kyler Murray. Now, I'm not saying I want him, but I don't know if that's bold because people see that coming. Kyler Murray getting released and brought in as a Jet. Jake, are you buying a Kyler Murray jersey? I'm just kidding, but what's your thoughts of Kyler Murray if he is the quarterback and that's a big offseason move for the Jets?
I think we're winning 4 or 5 games if Kyler Murray's the quarterback.
4 or 5 games.
He'll probably get hurt and not make it through the year. I question the fit. The fit, it would be. I question the fit with him and Glenn in particular. Like Kyler Murray is a guy that is not known for being like this great leader. Not like they had to put, hey man, you got to watch film in your contract when they extended him in Arizona because they didn't think he was being all into being a franchise quarterback. Maybe he's matured. I don't know. I could see it though. I don't think it's crazy at all. I think there is a world where he is the quarterback next year.
And you think that's a world where the Jets would not draft the guy behind him and they would give him that year and then try to have a very similar Justin Fields type of season where it's like, if he hits, he hits. If he doesn't, we go into the draft.
Well, I don't think Glenn's getting a year 3 if they don't show major improvement. Part of the thing that could save his job is if they took someone with the second round selection at quarterback. Let's say it's Chambliss for the sake of this conversation. And if Murray doesn't play well, he's benched or gets hurt, and Chandler shows anything at the end of the year, you can run to Woody and be like, well, we have our quarterback. Now we got the 3-1s. We could build around them. So I think it makes it easier to fire Glenn if he's not covering his ass with someone in the draft.
And that's a big thing I have too with this offseason. Is Aaron Glenn going to try to have this offseason to save his job? Or is he going to try to meticulously build it long term? Because if he tries to build it long term and then he sucks this year, he's gone. So like that's a weird situation he's in, is it not, Matt? What do you think? Like, are they going to be pressing to like Aaron Glenn's like, I got to like go out there and win, do everything I can? Or is he going to be smart? I don't know. It's a weird spot.
It is a weird spot. I just don't want them to go all in might be the wrong word, but do some things that are a little bit more aggressive for 2026 and give away valuable future capital to do so. Right? Like we thought, like an AJ Brown trade. If you had to trade a 2027 first for AJ Brown, is that changing the trajectory of your season? I would say probably not. No. So I wouldn't want to see them do something like that where they're putting so much of their apples and getting it right in 2026 instead of just continuing to build the program. And if it works for him, great, he can stay. If not, well, there's 3 first-round picks for the next guy.
Yeah, I agree. It's gonna be interesting philosophy. And Kyler Murray, to give him credit, would be the best quarterback the Jets have had in a while. And that just goes to show you how bad it's been here. But it's just not exciting. It's going to be another one of those stories of like, oh, maybe he can figure himself out. So let's get into some bold predictions in the chat. I would trade back in the top 10, but we need next year's first and a third round this year minimum, says John Dan the Jet fan 21. Excuse me there. So that's an interesting one. Trading back into the top 10 could be possible. Who would that be for? A quarterback or somebody else? That's interesting. Appreciate the super chat, Dan. Bold prediction. Ty Simpson will not make it past 21 Pitt if we don't take him at 16. I have a bolder prediction. I think Ty Simpson is going to be a top 10 pick. That's just based off of understanding the draft process. Because right now it seems like people are like, yeah, we can get about 33. No shot you're getting Ty Simpson at 33. Now, top 10 is a stretch. That's why I'm saying bold. So the only way the Jets can get Ty Simpson is if they reach on him at 2 or trade back into the top 10. That's my bold take. Jets take a CB at 16 is another bold take. We just talked about that. Do you think that's bold there? We just talked about it a little bit.
I mean, they have needs everywhere, right? Like I like Brownlee. I'm not sold he's a starter. Stevens, I thought was bad overall for what they paid him. Like he had moments, but again, they didn't have an interception all year. So I think anyone in that secondary should go into the year not expecting to be handed any starting job. So I don't hate that prediction at all.
Joe with the final super chat of the show. Here's my worry with not firing Glenn now. If he has such power like we hear and see he does, how can we be so sure that these two don't go all out and mortgage the majority of our draft capital? Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what our point is that we were just having. So great take here, Joe. It's an interesting balance of Aaron Glenn knows that he needs to go out there and win this year because if he doesn't, he's gone. But he also needs to be like, in order for that to happen, needs to be aggressive, like make a lot of moves in this offseason. So what's your take on this, Jake? Where's the balance with Aaron Glenn trying to save his job?
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, that's why I'm glad Moore went back to school because I think the Jets would have done everything in their power to just take him and try and sell to Woody. They need more time because, you know, we have a franchise quarterback, but he's raw. So this is exactly why I believe Aaron Glenn should have been fired. I think it was one of the most obvious one and done situations for a coach we've had in years. Unfortunately, we have terrible ownership. So we got to deal with Glenn for another year. And we got to just hope that Muji could hit on some of these picks with Glenn, build the roster up. And if Glenn proves he's a good coach, great. I would love to be wrong. And he'll be here to benefit with the 3-1s they have in 27. If not, Mike Tomlin or someone else hopefully is that's proven and has a chance to take Arch Manning or whoever the quarterback is a year from now in the draft. Like you're in position to do that.
Well, this is an historic Jets Roundtable episode because we have reached new heights. 257 live right now on YouTube. Guys, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Hit the like button. We're live every single Thursday at 3 p.m. EST. What a show, baby. It only took the offseason to bring in record numbers because we may or may not have taken a hiatus at the end of the year. Because I don't think any of us really wanted to come on here and talk more about the Jets during that ending of the season. Matt, anything you want to say to the people as we wrap up this edition of the Jets Roundtable, my friend?
I want you to put out word that we back up, baby. Jets off season. Let's do it.
We're built different. We're really are, man. Let's go. Absolutely. Leon says, Jake brought me here. Listened to your show last week after it was live. Well, thank you, Leon, for following along in the Mr. Jake Asman. We appreciate that. Jake, waving the Jet flag. You're bleeding green, baby, no matter what, right?
I am bleeding green. The March for Arch is underway. I know Matt O'Leary's ready for it. Richie, you're ready for it. And let's go, baby. It's going to be a magical year of Jet football.
Oh, gosh. What did you make this? Is this the saying of the year?
No, I got tagged in it on Twitter. So I was like, this is hilarious. I love that we're already talking about tanking a year.
I don't know if I can handle it. I really don't. Another year, man. You know what? If you are going to trade a pick, Muji and Glenn, trade the Jets 2027 pick just so we can avoid. I'm just kidding. I understand that's a valuable pick.
That would be the 1 year if they did that, Richie. That'd be the 1 year they finally get number one and wouldn't be able to benefit from it.
I know, but then we can finally just put to bed the rest of like winning, losing. They can just play and we don't have to worry about it. And we still have 2 firsts, right? But no, I'm just.
Hey, watch out, Dante Moore. You think you could avoid the Jets? Well, get ready. We'll be right back at the top of the draft next year for you. We're
coming back, Dante Moore. And watch this, by the way. Dante Moore, 3rd round pick next year. He's going to stink. Dylan Raiola is going to steal his job. I'm just kidding. I'm a little petty. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Go support Matt, Jake, and my channel here on the Jets Roundtable. We'll see you next week and clips throughout the week as well. Peace and love. We out. Go Jets.